Hello everybody. Back with another video. So this is something I haven't really done before. It's like I was going to say weekly watches, but it's one slightly over a week, maybe 2 weeks or so that I've watched recently. Main reason I'm doing it is just because I've got Letterboxd, but I think I've said this before. I'm just really bad at remembering to update things I've seen on Letterboxd. So going on there and doing a review where you write a few paragraphs is sort of quite time consuming. But yeah, I watched like a few films a week, say, and then I won't ever remember to sort of put them on the calendar as watched. So obviously it'd be a lot of tasks to go back now and put every single film on there I've watched like ever, but especially in like the last year or so. Um, but yeah, a few people, especially from like the WhatsApp Movie Loons group and Lords of Darkness, and then a lot of YouTubers I talk to are probably looking, yeah, they sort of follow me on Letterboxd and vice versa, probably looking, thinking, this guy's meant to be a film fan. He has only watched like one film in the last like 6 months, but I watch more than that. I just forget to put them on there. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do it as regular as like a weekly one, because I'll have some weeks when I'm busy working, or on my day off, I'll see my niece, take her to soft play, or my mate comes round where I don't have time to watch many films. So some weeks I might only watch one or two. Other weeks, if I'm off work on holiday, or when I was sort of ill off work for 2 days a few weeks back with a stomach bug, I watched like 5 films in a day or something. So yeah, I don't know if I'd really have the consistency to keep doing it, but yeah, I've got a few here I'll show and briefly talk about. So this one I watched last night. Oh yeah, the disc is still in my PS5. So Tango and Cash. Yeah, I remember watching this as a kid and I enjoyed it, but it's the first time I've watched it since then. 1989. Yeah, so it's got the kind of 80s feel, but obviously going into the 90s. Some of the action scenes are real good. A few of the fight scenes ain't got great choreography, but the action scenes where there's gunshots and explosions and stuff is really good. Um, yeah, it's a fun film. It's not a brilliantly made film, I will say. It's not as good as some stuff you've probably seen. Kurt Russell or Sylvester Stallone. And good to see them working together now. I think it's the only film they did together, to my knowledge, by Andrei Konchalovsky, who I can't say I've really heard of before. Only thing I would say is, yeah, the dialogue isn't great. They go for like quotables, a bit like Predator, but where the quotables in Predator land, or the one-liners, should I say. Some of them do. There's some quite funny ones, but they kind of try it too often. So pretty much every sentence they say, they're trying to have like a little witty quip. Sylvester Stallone really good in it. He kind of plays quite a straight edge guy. He's always wearing a suit with like glasses, and he kind of tries to play a bit more of a suave role, even though he's like rolling around on the floor shooting guns. Whereas Kurt Russell plays a bit more of like a sort of rugged everyman. But yeah, their chemistry is good, and yeah, it's pretty violent. It does say on the back contains strong violence. So obviously, action films from like late 80s did have a lot of violence. But yeah, this has got some quite intense bits. Jack Palance is really good as like, not to spoil it, but the kind of crime lord, sort of drug lord guy he plays. But yeah, this is on the back, so it's not a spoiler, but they get set up by basically they're busted all the drug dealers, and all the drug dealers have had enough of them, so they want to set them up. They obviously don't want to kill them because then they'll become martyrs, and then the whole police force will have a war against these like crime syndicates. So they want to sort of lock them up in prison out of the way, and then obviously because they're ex-police, they've taken down hundreds of these like tough villains. So once they're in prison, they're having a hard time. And yeah, it's their story of them trying to escape from prison. But yeah, I'd sort of give it 3 out of 5 stars. Not a brilliantly made film, but it is entertaining and fun. But yeah, it's a kind of one that if you just want to be entertained, it's good. Whereas if you expect it to be like the next Citizen Kane, then you might be disappointed. Watch this one, yeah, probably about over a week ago, Unbreakable. I had seen it before when it first came out. I think, obviously, when it aired on TV as a premiere, probably 6 months after it came out. I don't know if it says what year. I guess it was about a year or two after The Sixth Sense. Can't see a year on the back. But yeah, I watched it and I enjoyed it, and I can remember some of it. But I don't know if I just can't remember it all, or whether, didn't watch it all. I remember back then, if it was, say, on ITV, it would start at like 9. You'd have adverts every 15 minutes. Then at 10 o'clock, it would stop where you had like the 10 o'clock news for half an hour. Then it would come back on. So it could have been I'd sort of not watched it all. But yeah, viewing this again, amazing film. I always ranked Sixth Sense as my favourite M. Night Shyamalan film. But no, this is usurped it. And yeah, I was just kind of blown away how good this was. Not just entertaining, Amazing acting by Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. Really good sort of story, really riveting. Quite, was it like 107 minutes, but it flew by. Yeah, there were some scenes, I won't really spoil it, but there's one scene where Bruce Willis is, sure everybody's seen it, but basically Bruce Willis's son thinks he's sort of invincible, so he sort of pulls a gun on him, and it's a really tense scene. And then the bit where Glass, they call him, but he kind of falls down the stairs, and he's got like, is it called like generic osteogenesis? But basically he's got really brittle bones, and he keeps like breaking them all and things. Sure, people have seen Glass. But yeah, this bit for me literally gave me kind of like shivers up my spine. I found it's quite an emotional film as well. But yeah, when there's a bit where basically there's a story, I won't sort of spoil it, but there's a story in the paper. The son's questioning whether Bruce Willis, his dad, it really is a hero or not. And then he sort of pushes the paper towards him, lets him read it, and kind of nods. And yeah, that sort of, more than any sort of scene in a film I've seen in a long time, kind of really hit me. But yeah, really, I'd say it's a flawless film. Yeah, probably now one of my favourite. Would make it into my top 15. So yeah, sometimes you do kind of need to give these films a rewatch, I think, before you sort of appreciate them. I don't think it's just that it's better on a second viewing. It's obviously I'd seen it like, say, 20 years ago, and yeah, I can't really remember it all. But yeah, got to say, that's my watch of the week. Like, blown away by that one. You Might Be the Killer. So it is a horror, but it's satirical, kind of, bit like Scream. Really well done. Obviously, I kind of bought it because it's on the Treasured Films label. And so far, I've collected, they've had 6 releases, so I've collected all they've got, and then they've got a few more coming out. I'm sure I've already spoke about this. Obviously, in a real nice slip case. Nice case with a little booklet and things. But yeah, it's Alison Hannigan, who I'm sure people can remember from American Pie with her flute and band camp. Fran Kranz, who I've seen in things, I can't remember him, directed by Brett Simmons. But yeah, I'd say it's a cross between Scream, how it's kind of meta, Jim Carrey's The Mask, how it's basically like someone puts his mask on and they get possessed and start killing, and then obviously it's in the sort of, what would you call it, like holiday camp they have in America. So it's got Friday, so yeah, it's got Friday the 13th, crossed with The Mask and crossed with Scream. So 3 films I kind of like. So if you're into that, then I think you'd enjoy this. But yeah, it's really well done, really meta, loads of nods to older kind of slashers. Yeah, really tongue-in-cheek. Some quite strong gore, but it's not really about that. Yeah, it's not really horrifying. It's more, it's a comedy horror, but yeah, it's more kind of throwback. And yeah, obviously if you're a fan of slashers, then it's like got a lot of retro references. Even there's some really underground ones. There's a bit where Alison Hannigan's character works in this like shop, and up on the wall they've got a poster of Mask Maker, which is quite an unknown underground kind of slasher. Yeah, I think it's quite a recent one. I mean, Alison Hannigan must be like 40 odd in it. Yeah, 2024. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Next, you've got Midnight Cowboy on Criterion. So again, one I think Sammy G and Blue Roy, I call him Blue Roy, Roy from Blue Roy Movies, Roy Barrett, been talking about, singing its praises. I had heard of it years ago, but I didn't really know what it was about. Obviously, it's a John Schlesinger film, Dustin Hoffman and John Voight. 113 minutes, but it did go fast. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Yeah, I got this in the Criterion sale. I think it should have been 18. It cost me about $10.49 or so when they had like 40% off. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. 1969, I didn't realise it was that old. It's got the song Everybody's Talking At Me. I'm not sure who it's by, but it really fits. It is quite a graphic kind of film. Like it says, strong sex and sexual violence. It does say somewhere on the back that it was the first ever, first X-rated film to receive the Best Picture Oscar. John Voight is really, I think it was his, like, they're saying on the back, his breakout role. Obviously, he was in The Champ, film I used to love when I was a kid. Used to always sort of make me cry. I'm not going to go into what happens, but he's a boxer, and obviously he's at risk of being hurt or killed boxing, and his son's like upset about it. I think maybe that was earlier than this, not 100%. But yeah, I was saying on here that it was the role that sort of catapulted him. He is good in it. Kind of really looks the part, playing the cowboy. But Dustin Hoffman, amazing in it. One of the best roles I've seen by him. Plays this guy called Ratso. Well, Rizzo, but they call him Ratso. and the idiosyncrasies, is that the word, he uses, where he's basically always got a cough, he's always kind of limping when you see him walking, he's like dragging his like feet along, really embodies the character. But yeah, even the way he looks, I mean, he's all, sounds bad, but he's kind of, his skin's all greasy, he's all sweating, he hasn't washed, you just really feel that he's this really kind of grimy like character. But yeah, it's really kind of got some heartwarming moments, some quite sort of, not so much the violence, it's more like the sexual stuff. I mean, it does say here, MPAA termed its homosexual frame of reference as controversial, and that's what the controversy was over. Yeah, it's not really that strong stuff, but I guess for the time in 1969, it was, yeah, quite a controversial film. But yeah, it did live up to the hype. Yeah, I did. I mean, it's a weird film. I found there was quite a few weird bits in it. But yeah, really well made. Let me know in the comments if you know for a fact. But when I was talking to my mate about this, he was saying John Voight is Angelina Jolie's dad, which I didn't know. But once he said, I was like, yeah, actually, when you look at John Voight's lips, he does have a similar face to Angelina Jolie. It does kind of make sense. I haven't fact checked it, but yeah, if anybody knows, let me know. Smile 2. So yes, the original Smile, I was going to say Smile 1, but it's just called Smile, I did really enjoy. And then this I'd heard a lot of people say was better than the original. I'm not sure it was better, but it was a kind of grander scope to the story, where it's like about a pop star. Quite a bit longer. I think this was over 2 hours. It's one of these where the writing is like small white on black, we just can't see it. I mean, my eyesight is quite good, like 20/20. I don't need glasses, but I just can't bloody read it on here. But yeah, I think when I watched it, when I start to watch a film, I always like check the running time on the PS5, and yeah, I think it was like over 2 hours. Yeah, it was a lot gorier, I think, than the first Smile. And yeah, some really good acting. I think that guy is, I don't know if you can see him. Oh, let me get him out of the glare. I think that's Jack Nicholson's son. Yeah, I have heard that. Again, you can't read the people's names because it's all too sort of small to read. Naomi Scott really good in it, not just her acting, but when she's singing and she's like on stage. Yeah, I won't really go into the plot, but if you like the first one, I think you'll like this. And yeah, as far as modern horrors go, it's not only well made, but it doesn't really get silly, and it does sort of work. There are some really creepy moments. There's one bit I will say, there's this little girl with like pigtails, comes up to her, obviously she's a pop star, so people want to meet her. She's like signing autographs or something in like, what would you call it, like a mall, I think they call it in America, like a shopping department. And there's this little girl, and she's just staring at her with this creepy smile, and you're like, is she evil or is she just smiling? And yeah, it kind of really drags it out, and it really sort of gets under your skin. The Cell, yeah, so I thought a few people kind of looked down on this, whereas I've always enjoyed it and thought it was underrated. Jennifer Lopez isn't great in it. We know she's not a great actress. She's better in this than she is in Anaconda. What's the one my ex-girlfriend used to always watch? Made in Manhattan. Didn't like it personally, but yeah, I think she's better than she is in that. Vince Vaughn's okay in it, but Vincent D'Onofrio, amazing as always. He always plays a really good villain. Obviously, this is the 4K off of Arrow. The story is weird. It's kind of a bit all over the place. I think there is like a few plot holes really in it if you was to think about it. I think the main reason I wanted this on 4K, I know the main reason I wanted this on 4K is for the visuals. So it's directed by, is his name Tarsum Singh. Also did like a really colourful sort of foreign world cinema one. I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it tells me on here. Let me know if anybody knows. But yeah, when I was watching the extras, it shows it, and again, really brilliant cinematography in that. But yeah, there's shots in this when they go into like Vincent D'Onofrio's kind of mind, into his dreamscape. And there's bits where there's like orange desert sand against like a blood red sky, and bit when the sort of horse gets, not a spoiler, but gets sliced up into like, what do you call it? Biological slides, comes down and separates. So yeah, there are some amazing visuals. But yeah, I've always been a fan of this. Always had it on DVD and watched it about 5 times and always enjoyed it. But yeah, on 4K, this genuinely looks stunning. I would say even if you don't care for the plot and think it's a bit out there and weird, yeah, the visuals are like, other than Terminator, it's got some of the best colourful visuals I've seen on a 4K upgrade in a long time. Got this one on DVD. I was looking the other day, you can get it on Blu-ray, but it's about £8 in CEX, and it just doesn't seem to be in any of my local ones. But Black Sheep, so it's a New Zealand film, written and directed by Jonathan King. The special effects are done by Weta Workshop, who were Peter Jackson's crew. Obviously, he worked on Lord of the Rings. Not sure if Weta did the work on Brain Dead, Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, Peter Jackson's early works, or whether the director obviously is just inspired by that. But yeah, it's got really sort of Brain Dead style comedy, music, gore. I was very surprised it's only a 15 because it has got some really insane gore, but I guess because it's tongue-in-cheek and it's a comedy, the gore doesn't hit as hard as if it's like a serious film. But yeah, not only is it funny, it's really entertaining, really good special effects. I'll read you the little thing because I don't want to give spoilers, but terrified of sheep and dosed up on therapy, Henry Oldfield, played by Nathan Meister, returns to his family's farm to sell out to his older brother Angus, played by Peter Feeney. Unaware that something bad is going on, Angus's reckless genetic engineering program, when a pair of inept environmental activists release a mutant lamb from Angus's laboratory onto the farm, thousands of cuddly sheep are turned into bloodthirsty predators, along with farmhand Tucker, played by Tammy Davis, and Greenie Girl Experience, her name is, Danielle Mason. She plays like an environmental activist, kind of trying to free animals and stuff. Henry finds himself stranded deep on the farm as his worst nightmare comes to life. But yeah, basically this genetically modified lamb, where they've been creating these sheep, so I don't know if you could see him there, but it's like a special kind of cloned kind of sheep they make. They've got sheep fetuses in like, what do you call them? Vials, I guess. And on it says like high toxic radiation. So obviously these, what do they call them? Environmentalists try and steal one of these to sort of expose them, accidentally smash it, and a tiny little lamb like bites the sheep and all the sheep get infected. But yeah, when I was watching the special features, it's basically saying, because obviously New Zealand, I think they said at the time when this was made, I think it's 2008, had 100 sheep per person. So obviously they said they're known to the rest of the world as having loads of sheep, so they want to make a comedy about it. But yeah, it's a real romp, a really enjoyable. And yeah, the comedy for me really did land. I really found it funny. A few laugh out loud bits. One bit where so once you basically, the sheep all become zombie sheep, I would say, is the sort of easiest way to narrow it down. And then if they bite a person, they slowly turn into like a mutant kind of man sheep, were sheep, I guess you call it. When they're transforming, it's really good effect. But yeah, there's one bit where a guy's looking in the mirror and his hands turned into like a sheep's hoof, would you call it? And he's looking there and he says, they say, I'm going to turn into a sheep. They're lying, the bastards. And as he goes to say bastards, and he's like, shit, I really am a sheep. But yeah, that bit really made me chuckle. But yeah, if you haven't seen that and you're into your sort of silly comedy horror, then yeah, I'd really recommend that one. Watched this one, yeah, about a week ago. Eraserhead by David Lynch. So I'd already seen this about 3 times, but obviously after the death of David Lynch, R.I.P., wanted to watch a David Lynch one. Yeah, one night. Kind of, it's a late night film, isn't it? I think it was famous for being at like late night showings. Yeah, sort of out of all the films, Blue Velvet, all this I was sort of thinking of, so I went with this one. Yeah, still really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd say it's like witnessing somebody else's nightmare, basically. But yeah, it's obviously really stylish and black and white. But yeah, I think it's David Lynch's first film. Shot it on like a really low budget and did it over, I think it took like 10 years. But yeah, it's really well done. The sound design, just the drone and that really gets under your skin. Won't say too much, but there's like a baby, shall we say, like a mutant baby that's real creepy. Just a weird, bizarre, surreal film. But yeah, as far as David Lynch goes, that's what I want from him. This is real surreal. I mean, The Elephant Man's a brilliantly made film, but it's quite conventional. Whereas yeah, this is just bizarre and weird. But you think it might be sort of slow and not very entertaining, but no, somehow, even though it's weird and sounds bad, but not really too much action happens. It does sort of clip along at a pace, and it didn't outstay its welcome. But yeah, obviously I've seen it quite a lot of times. I owned it on DVD, but I think that's the first time I've watched the Blu-ray from the Criterion. Yeah, really enjoyed that one. And then yeah, last one I watched. Obviously a big fan of Michael Keaton, and I think this is the only sort of, I'd say it's a thriller more than a horror. But yeah, White Noise from Michael Keaton. So yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed this one. Near the end, last 15 minutes, kind of, I wouldn't say goes off the rails, but isn't as taut and well done as the start of the film. But I'll read you this. So, when architect Jonathan Rivers, Michael Keaton, loses his wife in a tragic accident, he turns to the shadowy, unnerving world of electronic voice phenomenon, communicating from beyond the grave. But as he begins to penetrate the mysteries of EVP, Jonathan makes a shocking discovery. Once a portal to the other world is open, there's no telling what will come through it. So yeah, a lot of the sort of bulk of the film is kind of ambiguous, where obviously you could interpret noises coming out of like, what do they use? Like tape recorder thing, and then you can hear like through the electric static, you can hear voices, but you're kind of like the people interpret. If somebody's died and you want to contact them, I guess the psychology of your brain wants to hear what it wants to hear, kind of thing. But then there's bits where there's like a black and white sort of static on a TV and you can see faces. Obviously, I don't believe in ghosts, so you're kind of thinking, is it, it's ambiguous enough? Is it really meant to be ghosts, or is there more to it? And then there's a bit of a twist later, which I won't tell people about. A few like jump scares, but I mean, yeah, it's got ghost sort of theme, so I guess it's a horror. It feels more like a thriller the way it's made. Yeah, Michael Keaton really good in it. What was the name? Deborah Cara Unger plays his wife, who's really good. Chandra West, I think it might be Ian McNeice, plays the guy that's like discovers all the EVP, and he's trying to get people to listen and helping them to communicate with their dead relatives. He's really good in it. Yeah, I had seen this years ago. Obviously, I never upgraded it. Again, I looked, and this is like a bit more of a tricky one to get on Blu-ray. I think it was like £10 or so on CEX, which just didn't seem to be in stock. Yeah, happy with watching the DVD. Obviously, DVD isn't a great picture, but it was good enough. Yeah, got a little booklet and things. Yeah, always been one I really enjoyed. But yeah, watched it the other day and was kind of pleasantly surprised how well it still stands up. And like I say, I'm not the biggest kind of supernatural, ghosty, haunted house kind of guy, and I still enjoyed that one. Yeah, that's everything I've watched, I'd say, in the last 2 weeks or so. So yeah, maybe I'll try and make this regular, or at least like every 2 weeks or a month once I've got enough to show. I'll stop it there because this has gone on 22 minutes, which isn't too bad for my normal waffling. Yeah, let me know if you've seen any of these, if you like them or whatever. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.